It's sunset Friday, April 5th, 2019, the new moon in Aries, and the new astrological year. I'm Laura Walker, oraclereport.com. Happy New Year! Please grab a beverage, your water, your tea, whatever, and let's celebrate because we have much to celebrate. This is the year of 16 Aries, fairies dancing in the setting sun. That's the Sabian symbol in effect this whole year, and it starts today. So, this has been an interesting day. What do you think? I was up on New Year's Eve, quote, last night with a party, 10 plus me, up until after midnight. And within 5 hours of the new moon entering, which entered at 4:51 a.m. Eastern Time, I'd received 5 stories of confirmation of everything that I had written the night before. And that's how fast this cycle is manifesting, almost like magic, but the good kind, not the ugly kind. So let's just get that clear right out of the gate here. We are following the Sabian symbols of astrology. 16 Aries is fairies dancing in the setting sun. It's archetypal, it's symbolic. There's nothing occult, hidden, um, or anything malefic that we are talking about with all of this. Please, it's symbology. We understand. Yes. So let's get right to it. The title of this recording is Cake, but which, actually, when you think about it, is probably the most antithetic type of title that I've ever put out there because I'm kind of known as the Black Moon Lady, and that's kind of heavy and dark most of the time, or at least until the other half of the Black Moon kicks in. And cake is, well, cake is kind of the best. It's the best in my book, my absolute favorite thing to eat. I don't eat it often, but I do love it. But the full title isn't just cake. The full title of this is Cake and Cakewalks, Happy Dances and Storms, or, if you don't like those, Game Over for the New World Order and the Archons. So, what is this year all about? So, we know the new moon in Aries is the energetic imprint for the whole year. So, we study it closely to understand what's happening at the energetic and the spiritual level. So, if you're new to the Oracle Report, welcome. We call ourselves the Parliament of Wise Owls. And let's just provide some context here because there are a lot of new people listening. The Oracle Report is based upon the belief that astrology is a code of frequencies that affect human behavior. It's basically a form of what we would loosely called Tesla tech, but it seems, as the data has shown over the years, that the New World Order uses astrology, uses it to time their actions when they do things. But additionally, we can see a divine hand at work at the same time. So it is a spiritual computer science, but it has nothing to do with planets. It's frequencies, energetics, and archetypes. So this means that it's measurable, the patterns are discernible. I've studied it for 17 years, and I've had Oracle Report for 10 years now. Yay! Happy birthday, Oracle Report! And we apply the knowledge to override the control system that seems to be in operation. Oracle Report has always been about identifying the control or the negative aspect of the energies and then choosing and finding the alternative. That's the aim anyway. that's what that's the mission. So, new moon in Aries. I chose the image of the sea fan for a specific reason. And this is to illustrate the dominant theme this year that comes from this new moon in Aries, which is about organically minimizing certain things and maximizing other things. Organically, things are going to get old, done, played out, and we are going to find from that release and relief because things are going to be working themselves through. Okay, like that sea fan, it's just connected, and all these little lines, and you could picture that as all these little interactions, actions in the world happening to come into a freedom, a release out, like at the top of the fan, at the sea fan. One of the most important things about this new moon, that's the most important things about this year, is the fact that Saturn and Pluto and the South Node are in conjunction, squaring Eris, the planet Eris, and this is a this is an epic alignment. I'll go separately into Saturn and Pluto in a little bit, but just so you understand what's coming along with this new moon is this Saturn Pluto South Node conjunction that is going to cause all year long an upright alignment of the spiritual warrior. My goodness, how humanity is going to stand up straight this year. Tall and strong. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. We are not playing anymore. Everything that you need to know will be right there. The first thing that we are seeing from, or at least what I've seen, is what it was fully expected, was that Archons gone wild would just break loose with this new moon. Fairies dancing in the setting sun. Because that time is over. The archonic New World Order time has passed. As I've said for many years, we have already won. We're playing it out. And this is the year that this is the year that has turned. I'm not even going to say that it is going to turn. It turned. It turned with the new moon, 4:51 a.m. Eastern time. It turned. The shift. So much of this year, again, the upright alignment, the morality that returns and pulls everything upward. It's a deep process of physics and metaphysics. Because the archons understand that they knew that this time was coming, that over the eons, they knew that their time would end. That time has come. It's beginning now. They knew that this process began in 2015 and that at some point there would be a cutoff. Because remember, in 2015 we talked about it was going to be a 2015 to 2020 time frame when the predominant amount of archonic energy would just not even be here. Okay, has been very hard to even believe. It will be very easy to start seeing because archons will be showing themselves, and they already have today. The energetic shift has absolutely driven a madness. Fairies dancing in the setting sun. If you could hear in the background here, Mazorsky, Night on Bald Mountain. Okay, that is exactly what this is. And if you encounter this with somebody who has this level of spiritual possession, acting out and losing their mind on you, just drop your word weps. I'm going to say weps because if I say the longer word, yeah, we know how that goes. Drop your word weps, turn and walk away. We've already won. We are watching kabuki theater on the geopolitical stage and on the screen because all of the talk, it's no coincidence that this moon, this cycle, is when the finale of Game of Thrones ends, because Game of Thrones is the story far more than anyone realizes. It's the Archon's pièce de résistance. It is their finale, and it is the ultimate in revelation of the method. Um, Daenerys Targaryen, the heroine, Daenerys Targaryen, the heiress of Tartaria. Not going to go into that subject right now. All I'm going to say is just don't worry. If you've delved into that, don't worry. Reset is not that massive reset. Not happening. And I'm going to divert into that a little bit, but I don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now. um, so it's the game. It's the game. But they're not able, and they're not running game on us anymore. Not anymore. The story isn't about what's waning, the day of the Archon. The story is about what's beginning, the night of humanity. Because you see, what that does to us, the night, is turn on our creativity, our connection with the great void, the place of birth and beginnings. And, dare I even say, we've even learned to see in the dark. We see you. Fairies dancing in the setting sun. It's a return to nature. We are all returning to nature, and that means different things for different people. Now, we are all human. Yes, we have all made mistakes, and we can forgive each other. But there are mistakes, and there's, for lack of a better term, evil, the inverse of live. And some things aren't mistakes, some things are evil. Evil does not continue. If you are new to the Oracle Report, another reason why my giddiness about this new year and my excitement over the fairies dancing in the setting sun and sunset on the New World Order is such a a different thing for me to be talking about, because a lot of what I've talked about over the years of the Oracle Report is the fact that I was a rape counselor for 10 years of my life. You could say I lived in the world of evil that whole time. It's pretty much a 24/7 job. I would say it was the best job I ever had, because of the people that I worked with, and the people that I helped. And you know why I was able to live there and do that for so long? It's because I was born remembering that evil doesn't continue. I've always known this. We continue. I've always known that we merge with our higher selves. I knew it, I didn't quite understand it, if that makes sense. We have one. It doesn't matter what comes at us. What comes at us now. In truth, what's next is what you do at a celebration. You have cake. It will be cake. Peace of mind. It's a piece of cake. Thought control. You get on board anytime you like. The Talking Heads. I love that line. Don't take my word for it. Search your heart. Have you always known that evil doesn't continue? Have you always known that we continue, that we return to our higher selves? Might take a half a second to answer. Instant enlightenment. I'm talking about this because there is, within this energetic of these endings, fairies dancing in the setting sun, the end of the day, there's a lot of fear. A lot of fear of being amplified by everything, the frequencies around us, of frequencies of control that are being overridden. And the question, really, if we break it down, is where do we go from here? Where do we go? Like, where do we go when we die? Is that when we're really born? I mentioned that last cycle. We go to our higher selves, which is connected to and part of oneness. Please keep that in mind, in the back of your mind, because it's really something that we'll just discuss over the year. This fake overlaid dimension, this abomination, will cease to exist. It does not exist in the future. It ceases, it ends. And we are at the point in time, and timestamps are important. We're at a time where it's collapsing, and while we remain cohesive, it's losing cohesion while we remain in cohesion. We don't understand it yet as a new dimension, but that's what it is. We're starting to get the picture. That reality, that narrative, Hal to the Gnostics, is no longer being perpetuated on us. It's collapsing into its double torus. It's inverting and it's emerging into another dimension. It emerges. We do. I'm hopefully going to be able to explain this better as the year goes on. Okay, so now let's look at the specific energetics of the new moon, Aries, and then we will look at Trump's chart, which is so very active right now. New moon entered, as I said, 4:51 a.m. Eastern Time at 16 Aries. Now, 16 Aries again is fairies dancing in the setting sun. In the Solkin, the sacred calendar, if we use the time of the new moon for New York City, which is the traditional way astrologers look at a chart for the world, because basically we agree that New York City is rather the capital of the world. There's certainly, we could argue a couple of other places, but I've always run the charts for New York City time, and most astrologers do. It's in the U.S. astrologers, I should say. That means that the new moon entered on 11 Eagle, because 12 Owl did not enter into effect until sunrise, which was after 4:51 a.m. And I would like to read from MayanMagics.com, lovely site, that's dedicated to the late great Ian Longold. Hopefully I won't get copyrighted with this. 11. Let's read what 11 is. 11 assists every new creation to find its place in the universe. In the process of fitting in, some modifications must occur. 11 is the energy of dynamic actions facilitating change, simplification, and improvement. Eagle. Intermediary between heaven and earth. Due to the eagle's superior point of view and keen intelligence, they achieve material abundance and good fortune. A messenger, gifted with patience and a deep sense of value, Eagle brings hope and trust on the wings of spirit. Eagle people are very detail-oriented and technically inclined. Compassionate service to others sustains prosperity for Eagle people, as the flapping of wings would sustain their bird brothers. If Eagle becomes viciously competitive or possessive, greed and jealousy cause a fall from the heights. Eagles, being blessed with freedom of movement, should be aware of escapism. Eagles may be tempted to just fly away from troubles by using indulgences. It's pretty much fairies dancing in the setting sun. 16 Aries. Sunset on the Archons in the New World Order. How many years have I been talking about that with that energetic? We are here. So this energetic, the truth about it, the truth comes out. It's finishing the day. It's returning to life. It produces changes. It is the time when the veils between the worlds are thinnest, the setting sun and the rising sun. Those are the two times. It's the time when people will be letting go in many different ways. Dark energies, archonic energies will show themselves. Karma, the cause and effect principle, will be fast. Mars, which is the ruler of Aries, is in Gemini, which means that everything will be fast. It's fast energy. Mars also rules what we do with our time and with our energy, I should say. What we do with our energy and how the best way to handle Mars energy and Aries cycles is to move something, move your body, move things out of your body, move whatever you're prompted to move. It's the time. We have, as I mentioned, Saturn, the South Node, and Pluto in square with Eris. Pluto is at, excuse me, Saturn. Let's start with Saturn. Saturn is at 21 Capricorn, so it's squaring the Eris point. The Eris point is the degree of rebirth and truth through the spiritual warrior, the spiritual rebel. Saturn's at a relay race, which basically brings in energies for cooperation and breakdown. Breakdown. And breaking down, we're breaking things down into smaller parts. Not just things or people breaking down, but breaking down things into smaller parts. So if you have something that seems monumental, Saturn will help you restructure that by breaking it down into parts, doing bits at a time, having a plan. The South Node, which represents the past and past karma, past action, is that a soldier receiving 2 awards for bravery in combat, which is Eris energy anyway. She's the goddess of the battlefield, energetically. Reward, recognition comes in with this, but also a combat, a basic clash, and then an end to that. As I was talking about walking away, we've already won. Presented with clashes, step up to the plate where you have to walk away from the rest. Pluto is at 24 Capricorn, a woman entering a convent. This is about detaching and gaining clarity and perspective from moving, kind of stepping back, moving back, stepping away when it's too much, when the party is too much. This year's dance party. Eris is at 24 Aries, an open window and a net curtain blowing into a cornucopia. It's abundance. It's a way through. It's also about escapism. Okay, it's very free, airy energy. Now, this is the year of retrogrades because not only are Saturn and Pluto conjunct at the new moon in Aries, setting it up for the whole year, they're not exactly conjunct, they're close. They are going to build between now and January 12th, 2020 when they will be in exact conjunction. Okay, so we are in that energetic is building. It's starting now. It's starting in full force now. It started in January 2019. It is building, and those two planets, those two powerhouse energies are transforming from things from isolation to collaboration, okay, introversion into extroversion, even, and bringing something outward, something within outward, something within, bringing that forward from within ourselves, and reworking or restructuring things that are lasting and beautiful. Okay, the retrogrades that we're going to have are going to be in effect for the first half of the year, basically. Pluto is going to station retrograde on April 25th, and it's going to it will go direct, it will remain retrograde until October 2nd, when it goes direct at 21 Capricorn. Again, the relay race, Sabian symbol, which is squaring the Aries point. Now, that October 2nd date is only a couple of days after the new moon in Libra, which is the midpoint of the year, which is always brings the fullest expression of everything that is imprinted or seeded or started or begun now during the Aries cycle. When we come to the month that begins on September 28th, 2019, the fullest expression of whatever happens this month comes then. That's why we always have the October surprise quote, because the month of October is basically the month of the new moon in Libra. It occurs in late September, or in October. It's also, if we divided the year up into, synonymous moon phases, that cycle, the Libra cycle, is like the full moon of the year. So it's full moon fever. It's when everything goes crazy, crazy. So, we've got craziness happen with archons gone wild, and people losing their minds, and bizarre behavior, and the way people look, even visually. Okay, not fairy like, scary fairy. All right, that's where Pluto is going to rework the transformation from isolation to collaboration. October is when sunset's falling fast. Saturn is going to station retrograde on October 30th, and it's going to remain retrograde until September 17th. And it's in tight conjunction with the South Node again, as I was mentioning. Again, standing up. Karma being, invoked. I don't like the term. Don't like everything that's loaded into the term karma. Really prefer cause and effect. What you give is what you get. Morality. But Pluto and Saturn, Plato, ooh, that's creepy. Plato. Um, Pluto and Saturn, when they make conjunction every 33 to 38 years because of their different cycles. And when they do, each time they meet up again, if each time they make conjunction, and wherever that happens to be, different every time, they bring forth an era, ERA, an era. I spent 2 days tracking back, I think it was 3 eras, and additionally tracking this current cycle that Pluto and Saturn are in, that they began, oh goodness, 1982. Don't hold me to it. I'd have to find that paper. That would be a job right now. Basically, I broke down the years of this cycle that's ending now to see what happened at the beginning of those eras when Saturn and Pluto went into aspect by square every time they moved 90 degrees apart. I looked at what was happening at that time to see what the forward progression was, what the trajectory was. That was hard to say. It's fascinating, and what it does is it gives us a blueprint to see what will be upcoming. we'll see the trajectory, because what happened when they made the conjunction, what was going on, and then like 7 years later, when they made for the first quarter square, when they first went 90 degrees apart, what happened. And so I tracked it back and for the pattern. So that'll be a separate recording. Understand though, the what I'm trying to say with this, the fact that Pluto and Saturn and the South Node are together so tightly in conjunction during an Aries new moon is the level of transformation and restructuring is immense. Okay, there is going to be tremendous change. You probably have already seen it today or felt it, even if you didn't have like all the stories that I had coming at me of all the insane things that were happening to people. Let me just say right now, while I'm thinking about it, let's send some love to law enforcement and first responders and hospital staff and mental health staff, military staff. Much love. Stay strong, because these are the people that are going to be dealing with all of this on the front lines, with people melting down and systems melting down. Much love to all of you. All right, so we understand we've got some ground shift happening that we are moving into process of. Remember, I said Pluto and Saturn only make conjunction every 33 to 38 years. We're building towards that exact conjunction on January 12th, 2020. It's just going to close it out. 2020, the year 2020, closing it out. Closing out this control system. It's been shown for years. Now, Jupiter is also going to station retrograde this month. It's actually going to happen on April 11th. It will be retrograde until August 10th. Now, do you know what the awesome thing about that is? Jupiter is conjunct the galactic center, which symbolically is the degree of God, spirituality, limitlessness. Jupiter is the energetic of expansion anyway. And so this is a spiritual dynamo energetic to have with Saturn stationing retrograde, conjunct the galactic center. The do-over that's going to come with health, because remember, when these energies retrograde, it's a do-over, a reworking. So this will be Jupiter reworking health, bringing new information about higher learning, classes, schooling, in, all kinds of things that we learn that expands our mind and provides direction. Okay, the Sabian symbol for the degree of Jupiter's retrograde is 25 Sagittarius, a chubby boy on a hobby horse. It will station direct at 15 Sagittarius, a groundhog looking for its shadow. So it's the same thing almost. It's running in place, running in circles. Okay, Jupiter is going to try to get us off of this making the same mistakes and having the same old mindset that we've had, because that's over. As I said, we have already won. This is a big part of it that will help so much. It's going to bring about meaning, the understanding about the meaning, Sagittarius, alleviating suffering and sharing our wisdom and our experiences with each other. It's about taking real action, not repeating the same mistakes. Now, additionally, remember I said that this was cake and cakewalks, and I said that because we're going to get the cake, but it's not going to be a cakewalk. I said that also that it would be happy dances and storms, because we're doing happy dances from this energy. I hope you're going to be doing a happy dance with me by the end of it, this recording, and at the end of the year. Happy dances and storms. The storm. We have storm, the word storm, in two of the Sabian symbols. Uranus is at 2 Taurus, 2 degrees of Taurus, which is the Sabian symbol of an electrical storm, which brings changes. Rapid, shocking, blowing through. Uranus, the winds of Uranus are like nothing else. Uranus, as I always say, puts us where we need to be. Uranus is putting things on Earth, Taurus energy, it's in Taurus, the way they need to be by changing things. But this is in the most powerful way possible because Uranus rules electricity. It's bringing the storm, so it's double energy. And then the Earth at the new moon is located at 16 Libra. After a storm, a boat landing stands in need of reconstruction. Remember that one? We had that one for a Libra new moon. Yes, loss and repair. Okay, things are going to come through. Now, storms, it's going to be different. It might be a storm until the very last day of this astrological year, which will be March 23rd, 2020. Okay, so we're going to be in these energetics until March 23rd of 2020. And the storm, everyone's going to experience some kind of storm because there's sweeping changes coming in to rectify and radically change our lives because of the radical transformation of the era, of the time. So this is being aware of that is going to be a big part of it. Understanding that that energetic is in effect, and it's the Earth. Okay, so that's on Earth. Storms, boat landing, standing in need of reconstruction. Which is okay because not too hard to do, is it? To reconstruct a dock. Docking our emotions. I believe Linda Hill says this about this Sabian symbol. The great Linda Hill. The black moon is at 27 Aquarius, an ancient pottery bowl filled with fresh violets. The black moon is about rebirth. It's been in Aquarius for 8 months. All of you who have the sun, Chiron, and the black moon, and let's just face it, yes, the moon too. I'm just going to have to add that into it because it's just should have always been included. If you have any of those planets in the sign of Aquarius or Leo over the past 8 months, you have been experiencing the forces of rebirth of the black moon, who brings us through our shadow side, through the underworld of ourselves, to see ourselves, to overcome our fears, and to become, with the black moon in Aquarius specifically, empowered, our true selves. Okay, that's where you're going. Okay, guys, it's almost over. Ends in May, and you will find your energy will be returning because you certainly, Leo and Aquarius energy is energetic. The black moon always takes us down into the underworld. It has to power us down. I say this so often. It has to power us down in order to rebirth us, because that's what it's all about. It's a rebirth. It takes 9 months for the black moon to transit a sign, and during that time those people undergo, or even if you just have like a lot of Leo or Aquarius energy in your chart, you're undergoing rebirth, and it's very taxing. It's like labor and delivery of you as a new you. Rest. It's almost over. You're almost to the end of it, and you're going to have your energy restored. It'll be back. You aren't going to be as tired all the time. All the wise owls that had their black moon transits recently will attest to it. Okay, Venus, sister to Aries and the black moon. Venus is located at 12 Pisces exalted, at an examination of initiates in the sanctuary of an occult brotherhood. symbology of tests. Oh, it usually brings tests. The exaltation of what happens with Venus in Pisces, it's just going to expose even more the secret brotherhood, the secret occult brotherhood. They have no sanctuary any longer. The veils around them falling, collapsing right in front of them. Mercury at 19 Pisces, a master instructing his disciple. The passing on of knowledge. So those two symbols there about learning, right? They imply gaining knowledge, along with the North Node, which represents the future and destiny. At 23 Cancer, the meeting of a literary society. I love that one. It's all about books and words. With this comes the power of our words this year. True history. Okay? History itself, the true history. Neptune. Finally, the last one. 18 Pisces. In a tent, a famous revivalist conducts his meeting with a spectacular performance. Displays. Do you remember this degree heavily from the summer of 2016? This degree heavily favored Donald Trump during his campaign. If you were following me back then, you'll remember he was every time he was doing something, it seemed to be following under that when that energetic was in effect. It can also be displays of greed, overzealousness. Certainly we're going to have, we have, it's not going, we are having overblown, out of proportion experiences. Get used to that. That's going to happen, because that has to happen, because that has to leave, it has to collapse, it has to find its way, like that sea fan, right? It has to find its way to where it's going. All of those, the web of the interconnectedness of all of it. All right, just all of the lines moving around. All right, let's look at Trump's chart. I'll pull up on my screen here. Let's look at Trump's D. All right. His chart is so very active, as I mentioned. And this is because Mars is in Gemini now. In fact, Mars is opposing his natal black moon until tomorrow, April 6th, which is very interesting. His black moon is the Sabian symbol 5 Sagittarius, an old owl in a tree. When Mars conjuncts or opposes our natal black moon, we tend to be the most impulsive we could ever be and say the most impulsive things ever. He's shown restraint. He has, or the bulk of his planets are aspected right now. The bulk of his planets lie in Gemini and Sagittarius, and then they cluster in Libra and Leo and Cancer. Okay, they're all just like all aspected. Mars is going to be in Gemini until May 15th. This is his window. If he's going to take big action, he will do it by then. This is his best chance. If not, he has another lesser window in June. But what happens now is really going to show us the measure of his presidency and what that's going to be. It's a foreshadowing, no doubt. Mars. Mars will conjunct or oppose his Uranus, North Node, Sun, Vulcan. By the way, I did not mention that, and I am following that asteroid now. That quote asteroid now. That's Vulcan, and Vulcan at the new moon is at 11 degrees of Aries, which is the ruler of a nation, which for us personally is our will and our willpower, our divine masculine valete will. Um, Additionally, in addition to all of those planets that I just mentioned, Mars also aspects his black moon south node, his moon, and his Earth. Jupiter is finishing, it's going to be retrograding and going back over that. So he's got that extra amplification of Jupiter. It does bring health concerns. It can do that. He's been fine with it so far, and it's already been pretty much hit all of his planets. I don't expect anything coming from him. From the outside, yeah, there could be that. But that's the window of time for that. So May 15th, that's when the window of time that's happening here. Um, he has his Neptune, Chiron, and Jupiter in trine with Mars, and then Pluto sextiling, and Mars sextiling his ascendant. And so the Sabian symbols that are involved with this for him, he has Mars, what we call Mars ascending. He has Mars on his descendant, on top of his ascendant. His Mars is 27 Leo, daybreak, the dawn, daybreak, the luminescence of dawn in the eastern sky. The eastern sky, the east. His ascendant is 30 Leo, right there, which is an unsealed letter. We could definitely see declassification before May 15th. In fact, if he's going to do it, he should by May 15th. Now, if you were listening to the Patriot Intel report, Phoenix Talk today, don't miss today's report. Don't miss it any day. But he was talking about this, about China, and how Xi Jinping wants to just step up the pace on these trade negotiations. I would suspect that is because Chinese astrologers have looked at it and they know that they're going to be in the best. It's going to be most advantageous for them to work with him now, because if they don't, his Mars is going to be engaged, for better or for worse. That's not. That's just an analysis of it. Okay, that's not. I'm not loading in, and I'm not even coming out on one side or the other of it. But I do know that as I said, we will see quite the measure of the Trump presidency by May 15th. Now, as I mentioned, Phoenix over at Patriot Intel Report on YouTube, I think that's the absolute best way to get your geopolitical and economic and earth change information. There's no need to scour the internet anymore to keep up. Okay, fairies dancing in the setting sun who have time to do other things, who are turning their heads towards other things that make fairies happy, that make us do happy dances for ourselves. Phoenix is on duty. How lucky are we? Make sure you check that out. Probably already, all of you listening already do. Now, for me, I'm not going to be doing daily reports like I used to for all those years, because we don't need that anymore. That was crisis time, those years. When the crisis counselor was on duty and was needed there every day, we don't need that anymore. The energetics have changed. We have overpowered the archons. It now plays out. Okay, I'm going to shift over, and I'm going to be doing things that are happier for me too and make me do happy dances, which is can, I'm working on several books, doing more direct consultations with people to help you um, get to the happy place. Yes, clear out what needs to go, understand some things that maybe need understanding more, um, and finding some solutions, and just providing some insight, right? To maximize the time and to move forward. Yeah. I also hope to do some more teaching. I'd like to be able to do that and share my knowledge so that you all can do more for yourselves in understanding what these frequencies are and how that affects you. So, this has been a goal of mine for some time, several years. And, my lost opportunity was regained to return to work like this. And Andrew and I will be able to re-engage and use what he is offering to be able to run charts for people with some information more that I can develop through some books. My teacher and I also would like to complete a book that we started many, many years ago, explaining the cycles, explaining the phases, and what that really means, and each time the moon changes phase, what that does to us, that thing, what that frequency generator is doing, and understanding what that is, and then using that for the happy dance, right? To make our lives richer. I think I covered it all. I think I have everything down from that came up in the party last night. Now, if I had bumper music, I would lead out with the song I'm going to link below. It's from my college days. It was the 80s. And it's the debut on the Oracle Report of a band that you would think, with the Parliament of Wise Owls, would have already shown up in 10 years, but it hasn't. And if with it I lose my musical cred with you, I'm going to list another one, the B-side, let's call it, and maybe I'll kind of regain my cred with you. The Fellowship of Humanity Dancing in the Setting Sun. Yes? So, shall we? Happy New Year, everyone.